we back at it. It's your boy Friday Ricky Dread. I got a special interview that I'm about to drop right here. I was just in the West Coast actually a few months back, and I got to see the landscape. And, you know, from even doing my research after going to the West Coast, I was like, that's a different place, man. And we had some recent videos that have gone viral on our channel that have gotten the attention all over this country as well as the United States. And it has brought us to a conversation where I would love to, that I'm really excited to have right now. We have reformed street, reform gang person, you know what I'm saying? Activist, podcaster, an all-around good gentleman. We have Peter A.D.I.WAL in the building. Yo, thanks for coming through, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me. That was a great intro. And I've been checking out your guys' channel. And so happy to be here.
No, thank you, man. Listen, man, before we even get into it off top, I want to put out an apology to you, any of your peeps, any of your fam around, like, our video that we had, and this is on the behalf of myself and my co-host Dusty Wallace. We had a video that went pretty viral, and there was a lot of things said in the video where I feel that some of it was not correct and a lot of it needed to be pulled back. So I want to apologize for any offense that might have been taken from this video or from that video.
I appreciate that. Like I said in the text message too, these things need to be addressed off the top, and you did it like a man and you're doing it again publicly. So I really appreciate that. We did take some offense to a few things. We've checked out your channel overall, and your guys' vibe is pretty good. You guys support people. You guys talk about people in a respectful way. I think there was a lot of heightened emotions when it comes to certain racial things that were misconstrued. And, when they were presented, of course, like there was some ruffled feathers on our side because guys don't move like that. And there were certain inferences made from like how things were in the 70s and 80s. Shit.
Because he doesn't know in the 70s and 80s what Jamaicans and any black people had to go through dealing with these guys back in the days, all right? Who come from Toronto and the GTA areas. His mom's white, right? My dad's black. My mom's black.
Everybody was just in the 70s and 80s all over, and it wasn't just like white people. Jamaicans had a problem with, Jamaicans had a problem with other blacks had a problem with other races, and Indians, my background is Punjabi, Sikh, and I heard you referring to us as Bindus on the what was his name, Mr. Company Man podcast. And we didn't jump down your throat for that. Like, it's just one of those things. Sometimes people just have a certain way of referring to people. We go by Sikhs, right? By Sikhs. And Bindu is like a pretty racially charged term when it comes to us. But like, we're not like that. We don't like just get bent out of shape because somebody's used to referring to us a certain way. There's context with these things and a certain emotion that like you can tell somebody's being derogatory. Like when Rick Ross does the whole white boy thing, like he's pushing that all that much. White boy isn't a racial slur on its own. But when used in that context and driven in a certain way, it was taken the way it was just with the incident too, right? So we always try to build bridges. It's not like we didn't have the same racial issues growing up, and our parents had it too, but we don't believe in keeping it like a generational thing. And we don't hold on to it the same way. So that's why things are a little bit different here on the West Coast, where we're intertwined with all different cultures, races, and, even these so-called clubs that people are referring to as racist and KK are all mixed up on this side. You see all types of colors and races. It's not the same.
Yeah. And, that was one of the most charged part of that video right there. And especially when it comes to the United States is very obsessed with race. So anytime we do have conversations about, and race is part of the conversation or racism, it really sparks a lot of debate. Now, as far as the things that were said, with the clubs back in the 70s and, having conflicts with black gangs and stuff over here in Toronto. Can we?
I just have to Go on. Sorry, go on.
Can you maybe like clear up any misconceptions that might have been said in that?
I can, yeah, absolutely. So my bros, you know who I'm talking about, wanted to clear up just the timeline there too. Hell's Angels weren't a thing in the 70s and 80s, right? There was a lot of other groups. If you check out my podcast on the Clark Park guys, you know, we did that to immortalize those guys because they were getting older.
And then I ended up straightening my life out and went to work and everything. And Brother Vic, he ended up going the other way on into the penitentiary. I let him carry on from there.
Well, Ocala, it had quite a unique hole there. I ended up there quite a few times.
Describe how it looked like to everyone. One of them actually passed away from cancer last year, Brother Ron.
And Brother Ron passed?
Yeah, last year. It was pretty shitty.
R.I.P.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And so those guys talk about how, and this is a long time ago, this is in the 70s, right? They had a black friend that was shot in the back while he was running away from the police. There's a book on these guys in which the autopsy report reads a different way. That's not what it was, right? Like, we know a lot of people fabricated news reports back in the day, autopsy reports, and the cops all worked together, right? It was one machine. These guys were so moved, you know, and this was a full black person in a time where racism was rampant everywhere, right? And later on, these guys became Satan's angels, Hell's Angels, whatnot, right? They went to war with the cops over this guy. They kicked in the police station and tried to get in with rifles and shotguns and shanks and stuff. This is the Vancouver police. You know, this wasn't just some small town somewhere. And because it was obvious from, you know, when they're at the funeral, when they're washing his body and stuff, that the bullet went in through the back while he was trying to take off. You know, and the cops thought he's just another black man. You know, nobody's gonna miss him. But these guys raised up predominantly white people. Uncle Vic is Fijian. And you know, there were a couple like other Hispanic people and other people in there, but predominantly white. And they went to war with the cops. Who does that? Who does that even nowadays? You know what I mean? Everybody's scared of the police, but for their brother, you know, they didn't care who the fuck was in front of them. So that's how like deep it runs. There's no, you know, you get racism everywhere, right? Like, it doesn't matter where you are. And you got to keep in mind, Montreal, Quebec, Toronto, when the Hells Angels came in and patched people over, there were people that were fighting just weeks before that, right? That had to learn to cohabitate and live together. So they built their bridges, however they did, right? Whether it was a higher power that made them do it or you know, their own conscience. But at some point they realized it was more beneficial to stick together. And we did that on our coast out here too. And I can speak for a lot of people in Toronto and Montreal as well. As you've seen, like personally, we have a lot of friends out there, and you know, we're all intertwined. It's not like everybody's using black people as shooters and stuff like that. Bro in jail like helps guys out and has been helping guys out. I was doing time with Damien since he's my childhood friend. He's my best friend. I know him like inside out, you know, and we grew up the way we did. Like, you know, of course there was racism, but people linked up. And when we went to prison, nobody had more black friends than him. You know, till this day too, you'd be surprised how many people call from different prisons he goes to, whether it's Toronto, whether it's Winnipeg, whether it's British Columbia or anywhere. You know, he makes friends. If you're an idiot, he's gonna treat you like an idiot. If you're a man, he's gonna treat you like a man. You come with respect, you're gonna get respect, right? And the same thing goes for Icarus. Like, you know, he's one of my best friends. And although he's a lot younger, I've seen how he moved when he was growing up, and I seen all the different races. He grew up in a, you know, martial arts Muay Thai studio where his dad would bring in people from Thailand, and they would live and eat together with their customs. Dre's producers here, you know, like Icarus is a producer, and he's a Punjabi guy too. He's sick, and you know, Dre, like, I don't need to sell him like that. Like, everybody knows him out here, and they know he's, you know, just tapped into every community. And so when we heard people saying he was using the N-word in like a derogatory way or in any way, right? He just doesn't do that. There was a lot of
N-words thrown. Like, I'm not gonna like deny that.
but none of them came from a white person.
And sorry to interrupt you. I just want to give some context to that, what you're talking about.
Sure.
That's from the Rick Ross, I guess Canada Day or the day before Canada Day incident where he was performing. He played Not Like Us, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah. So I said, I can speak on that in a limited capacity just because like he has other interviews coming up too. But, you know, I would give you guys a little bit, obviously. So Icarus himself was also performing that day. And we had just lost a good friend of ours named Darren, aka Ghetto. And him and Mercules was also performing. Thank you. And they had the whole crowd chanting "Ghetto, Ghetto, Ghetto." Like I'll send you the video. It's dope. And so, like, you know, the man, you know, William Leonard Roberts, whatever, going by Rick Ross, right? He did feel a certain way. You know what I mean? Before coming to Canada, he was told not to pull any fuck shit. He said he wouldn't. You know, and he behaved in a manner which was really disrespectful, not only to the crowd, but to Icarus and Mercules too that were performing. Yeah. And that disrespect continued. It had nothing to do with race. You know, like it's that was the main thorn in the side with this whole thing, right? Like even your guys' channel, like you guys have such a good vibe. There's a lot going on, and then that, you know, that stuff it was just tarnishing like everybody's reputations, you know, not only ours, but even yours, speaking on it the way you guys did because you didn't have that context. And I'm hoping now that you guys like hear it from us directly. You know, you can feel better about it and speak a little bit better about it too, because there was nothing to do with race. Even when it comes to Drizzy, you know, and his bullshit right now with everybody, that's not a race thing. You know, like he was in an issue with another black man. You know, like and people were stepping in for him. Like, you know, it's another black man against whatever you guys want to call it. I know there's a big narrative now not to call people that are mixed race black. You know, that's coming from the States. But
that's new, know, man. That's brand new, just based off of this Kendrick Lamar Drake beef. That hasn't been an ongoing thing.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah, because I never heard of it before. You know what I mean? Like you hear people saying things like, you know, if there was a mixed race person walking down the street, fuck it, Barack Obama, let's just say, right? And there was a white guy down the street, like who's the KKK going after? You know, like we hear that all the time. And to now push people out that don't feel like they really belong anywhere because they're not part of this quote unquote culture or they're not black enough is it's pretty sad. You know, like I can only speak on it so much. I'm not black, but I don't know. I just think it's sad.
It's definitely tragic. And you know, one thing also I got to say from some of the things that you were explaining right there, me, myself, as an older head and somebody who's been inside and seen exactly like what you're saying, like how, you know, guys have a lot of brotherhood, a lot of this misconception of racism between, you know, whites and blacks and stuff like that. I've seen it myself. However, even like to the depths that you were talking about, you're educating me right now on how far back it goes.
Oh,
because even back with the park and everything like that, like I had no idea. Even watching the interview, I was like, wow, that racism shit was really out the door from a long time ago. And I'm really glad you're here to clear that up, man.
Yeah, for sure. Like you're never going to get rid of racism. It's at an all-time high again right now because of all the nationalism and like divisiveness, right? Like, but we've also come a long way. You know, there's been so many bridges made, and if we don't let go of things, if we keep holding on to it generation after generation, then we're just perpetuating it, right? Like that's why it's at an all-time high right now, because people haven't let go of what their parents went through, what their grandparents went through.
Facts.
You know, like things are different with technology, things are different with race, things are different with you know, medicine. Like it's all part of evolution. To stay in that mindset, like when I watched Dusty talking about it, you know, I wasn't so much mad. I just felt like bad that like he hasn't been able to get himself out of that mental cage he's bound himself in because of stuff his dad went through, right? You think my folks didn't go through racist shit? You know, they think we didn't. My brother had a turban, like a patka, And people would grab his man bun and swing it around, and like we'd have to get in fights all the time.
What?
We experienced all that. Like we were called like all types of things, like not just the Bindu stuff, but like Hindus, which isn't like a bad thing per se, you know, or they're different races, but when they're used in a derogatory way, like Rick Ross uses white boy or whatever, like it does become offensive. And you know, can't tell you how many times I've been called sand, right? Like it's just stuff we all went through. But we shook it off. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to hold on to that stuff. If you do, it's just going to become toxic for yourself. And it's definitely not going to let you expand, right? Like it's different if you're living on your own block. You know, I have a lot of friends in the States that have a certain mindset and other parts of the world because they don't get out of their pocket, right? And we're global shapers. Like, you know, it's not just like, it's not just that the gangs all over the world, but it's just business, commerce, all types of relationships. You know, like I help a lot of people out with stem cells. I was shot 26 times before and was a quadriplegic, and I got better with the use of stem cells. So like we help everybody. You know, I've talked to Big U. I've talked to like a lot of people about their injuries, but you know, whether it's you know, professional soccer players or football as they like to call it, or guys from NFL, NHL, we're always connecting somebody regardless of age, regardless of sex, regardless of like background. You know, my podcast channel was designed just to help ex-cons figure out all these technologies and different things helping in the world. We don't do anything for clout. We don't do anything to like have any real personal gain. We all do okay. It's just this the only thing that even made us step up with this is just because of some inaccuracies when it comes to the bros, and because this racial divide. Like it's just something that needs to stop.
Definitely. And one thing I seen that came out of that whole Rick Ross or William Roberts incident over there in the West Coast, and I don't know if it's directly connected, but you are going to have a conversation with the real Rick Ross real soon.
I did. So Freeway was a little under the weather that day. We did record some content, and we decided to do a 3-part episode. But I've been talking to Freeway like even before this whole incident happened. We had already scheduled a podcast. I don't want people to think like we were just jumping on it just because of the clout or whatever. I admire the man's story. I don't like how William Leonard Roberts II has stolen his name. And like, you know, you want to get out there, you want to call this guy a rat or a buster or whatever. And then you want to still keep his name. Like, it's just, I don't know, that type of stuff gets under my skin. And to see like 100 million people following him and making so much money, like kind of surprised me. And so I thought, you know what, we need to like let Canadians know and other people know who might have been too young when all that stuff was happening back then.
No, he's 48, man. He's the same. He's our age, bro.
Yeah. You know, I just mean the listeners that watch him. They might have been too young. They don't know about the correction stuff. And I know about his gang ties. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not like familiar with who the people are around him and how he grew up and stuff. But come on, like you're going to lie for the first 3 years that you were a corrections officer, then come in and say, oh, for Booby and for these guys, I was doing it when they're not even in the facility that you're working. And you know, I got friends that work as corrections officer. I got friends that do all type of things, you know, and I got much love and respect for these people. They're good people. But if any one of them jumped out and started doing gangster rap and stole someone's name, we'd have to have a conversation, right? I don't know how the gangsters around him aren't having that conversation. And if you're so bad and you're so wealthy and you got all these things going, why not use your own name? You know, like it doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
William Robert or Leonard Roberts II doesn't really have that much of a ring to it like that, man.
No, and maybe because it wasn't even his own name to begin with. It's the second, right? So maybe he thought, oh fuck it, I'll just steal another dude's name, not a big deal. Never had his own to begin with. I don't know. But
or Teflon was his first rap name.
That's right. Why not keep it, right? And so I got like, you know, a lot of empathy for Freeway when it comes to that shit, just because I've been in prison, out of prison, and a lot of people have used my name for personal gain. There's that kidnapping incident where we went to jail, I think for 5 years, 9 years. And you know, it was just because somebody was using our name, right, in a certain way, and we had to act on it because it was putting people at risk and defaming us, right? So I get it. You know, I get why he had to step up and do what he did. Like, we obviously had a different approach to people using our names. And so I have a lot of empathy for him, and I wanted to get him on the podcast. I think people are going to be excited to hear some of the things he has to say.
I am.
Yeah, yeah. And Icarus is my co-host. That's the most mind-blowing thing about that, right? You got the guy from the incident, and then you got the other guy from the incidents. So it's something everybody's been watching for. I've been getting a lot of emails. I've had some communication with some big platforms, and we'll just see how Icarus wants to roll it out. Right now, we're just editing. We're gonna film 2 more episodes, and then we'll be putting it out.
Dope. Listen, as soon as I seen the clip go up on your YouTube channel, the short.
Hey, what up, Pete?
Hey, brother Freeway, how you doing?
Man, I'm good.
I got a bro of mine on the line. I want you to meet Icarus. Meet the real Rick Ross, Freeway Ricky Ross. Freeway, meet Icarus. You already know who he is.
Yes. What's up, bro? What up? How you doing? Man, everything good.
I reposted that on my Instagram right away. Like, guess what's on the way?
Yo, I appreciated that. We saw that, and you even put out Pete's podcast, so that was dope.
One of the things that I've been seeing, and we've been having a lot of conversations on various podcasts and stuff like that, is the whole Drake liking things. A lot of people were saying Drake co-signs all of these different things that are happening, and I'll just give you a quick couple of examples.
Sure.
The most recent thing that with the ScHoolBoy Q not being able to come to Toronto and his show being canceled, Drake posted a picture of him with the Free AO t-shirt, and I guess that was a subliminal. And then going back with the whole Rick Ross thing over there on your side of town in Vancouver, like he was liking posts and people were getting like, you know, Uncle Luke over there in Miami gave him a message, and a lot of people were very offended by him, quote unquote, co-signing it. Can you clarify a little bit of that for us, please?
I can't speak on like why he was liking everything. I can speak with confidence that it had nothing to do with him. You know, like it wasn't one of those things where Drake's goons came out and wanted to show some support or love by beating up Rick Ross, William Leonard II. That was a issue between two men, and somebody showing a lot of disrespect to an entire country, calling everybody soft, and you know that's something he kept pushing on forums and chat rooms and stuff too, and leaving negative comments. And so when it comes to Drake liking everything, I think that's natural for him to do because he has the issues with William Roberts there. But the way the public saw it was that, you know, Drake's happy his goons did it, right? And it had nothing to do with him whatsoever. The song, sure, you know, that agitated a lot of people. It had nothing to do with his set. He's playing it as he's trying to sneak off the stage. He could have walked one way, walked another way, and deliberately bumped into a couple of people to check him. And you know, he came at people like an officer. You know, I'm better than you. You can't do anything to me. Type of attitude, and that's what eventually got him punched in the fucking mouth. But you know, not one of those guys did it for Drake. You know, not to say that you know, Drake doesn't have friends or influence like in certain groups, but that had absolutely nothing to do with him. If he wanted to show some sort of appreciation after, you know, by showing likes and stuff like that, I can see how people associated him to it just because of his, you know, love for the brand and his connections with everybody. But no, that had nothing to do with him. That was just a person who was being rude and got punched in the mouth.
No, man, I'm glad that like for our audience out there who's just, they want to know everything. You know what I'm saying? That
and I seen it on every platform almost. You know, like we were talking.
Yeah.
You know, like some people got it right. Some people knew it wasn't an OVO thing, but other people definitely thought it was. One of the first messages we got out was to Kendrick's camp. Shout out to Jay Worthy and other people that made that happen, Ariel, and we let them know. You know, this has nothing to do with your guys' thing. This was a separate, isolated incident, and that's why William was given an opportunity to apologize too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen some of the stuff we have on him. We could have embarrassed him quite a bit, but you know, we've been holding back. He can still apologize, but you know, his issue with Drake is between him and Drake. And that's where it lays. You know, it had nothing to do with this thing. He was being disrespectful not only to our friends, but he was being disrespectful to the whole crowd. You could see in the videos, nobody's really jamming to him at the end. You know, he's playing the song, just staring at the crowd, waiting for somebody to do something. So it was just natural that somebody was going to say something.
And I'm glad that you know this is cleared up, because a lot of people want to believe it's romantic to believe that Drake's out there sending goons out, and you know what I mean. He gave a head nod, and all of a sudden Rick Ross's face got punched off. But like in the end of the day, we don't want that narrative going out there and spreading, because it's not just bad for just the streets period and all that stuff. It's bad for hip hop, for that narrative to be painted, and you know, people start believing that type shit, because not only Drake's gonna have an issue, he'll be fine in the end of the day. I'm also thinking about just us as a whole, as Canadians. You know what I'm saying? I know if I want to go to the States when they finally let me in, I don't want to have a problem because Drake liked the picture or like the post. I mean,
exactly, and for, you know, I don't know what the real narrative is behind the Not Like Us video, if they're saying Canadians aren't like us or whatever, but it shouldn't be a Canadian American thing. We're all people that love the music, that love the culture. And you know, even when it comes to like the whole culture vulture thing, you know how many things are taken just from like the Indian culture, even the word thug, you know, like and all that stuff. Those are Indian words. You don't see us, you know, telling people they can't use it or whatnot. We love, we share, we build bridges. People should be happy that everybody's appreciating the culture so much. And when I grew up listening to, you know, Beastie Boys, N.W.A., Public Enemy, these kind of things, it wasn't widely accepted. People looked at it a certain way. We were beatboxing and freestyling at the age of 13, and we were outcasts, you know, like it wasn't something that, so to see like, you know, people of all walks of life and color, Drake's concerts or Kendrick's or anything like that, I think is something that should be celebrated. Hip hop and you know, gangster rap, trap, all that stuff shouldn't be bottled up or kept just in your own backyard. These are things you create to like produce revenue, to bring in like you know, like fans and things like that. So you can't have it both ways, right? You have to either decide it's a business and it's something you want to share with the global audience, or it's something you want to just keep for yourselves. And you know, there's a different way to put out stuff like that. Right now, like you know, everyone's sharing, everybody's celebrating, and it should be about love and unity. Not just unity on the block or within the local gangs, but global unity, right? Why do we got to stop in the neighborhood?
Yeah, that's super facts right there, brother. Big salute to the sponsors, Diamond Club, with delivery all over the GTA and now all across Canada. They got the best selection of flour, edibles, and pens, and all types of goodies that you need. You can find them on their Instagram page, DiamondClub_Canada, or you can find them on the 7 Days of Weed app, as well as the Leafy Things app. Let them know that you heard about them through the We Love Hip Hop Network, and they may give you a discount. Big salute to Diamond Club. Cheer!
Sure.
You grew up in the East Vancouver area with, like you mentioned before, Punjabi parents, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Twin brother. Yeah. Did you have any other siblings in the household? Like, how was the household? Was it a full house?
It was so we moved back and forth a little bit, mainly Vancouver and New Westminster for a few years, and then back to Vancouver. And this is my twin brother and my older brother. My older brother passed away in 1996 on a motorcycle accident in India. Thanks. And you know, he was the homie. He was our best friend. And like, you know, we grew up doing all kinds of wild shit. And so that was a hard one. Then it was just me and my twin after that. We grew up in what you would call probably a pretty standard home for the type of neighborhood I lived in. You know, we weren't wealthy, and neither were any of the people around us. And it was you know, the reason probably why we're so like, we have such a diverse like racial crew too, is because we didn't really mix in with the Punjabis back then, just because they lived in a completely different neighborhood, you know, different tax bracket, different caste, things like that. So we just grew up with who we grew up with, and it just so happened to be that our generation was the one that bridged the racial gap with everybody. Bindi Johal tried it before, some other people, but it just didn't pan out. And then it wasn't even something that we tried. It was just like, you know, growing up in juvie, my brother did a lot of juvie time with a lot of the different guys. You know, we were stealing cars at a really young age and doing all different types of crime, and you know, that just brought us into different neighborhoods and different races and things like that, where business was the thing that was the topic. You know, it wasn't like what race is bad or good, or you know, these people, that people. We had different things on our mind, like feeding ourselves, taking care of our families, and you know, when you fought your white friend, your Asian friend, like you mentioned, a lot of Asian gangs out here. We grew up with a lot of those guys. You know, we grew up with a lot of different races. Doesn't matter. Like you can name one. We're good with everybody.
One thing also I noticed when I was out there, and I've been out there a few times. I've been on, and then I went down Hastings a few times, and I was just like, holy shit, Vancouver has a drug problem. What was it like in the 90s?
Oh man, so Hastings has always been Hastings. It's a port city, Vancouver. And so like, you get a lot of sailors and different people down there, and then you have the ports too, a lot of longshore workers. So Hastings was always kind of that scene, you know, drugs, prostitution, bars, things like that. And then it just got worse and worse with the, you know, introduction of like worse drugs, right? For a while, people got off the heroin and they were just doing party drugs, right? With ecstasy, weed, coke, things like that. And then people started doing the heroin again. Then people got into fentanyl, and that's where you can go. You can't stop that problem down there. I think it's very difficult. They've tried to clean it up before for the Olympics and different things. And it just moved into other neighborhoods where people pay a lot of taxes. And so, you know, people were migrated back to that area. There's tent city around there. And, you know what the worst part is? Good men, really good men, you know, like get out of jail and they go to the halfway house, and these are people with addictions, and the halfway house is right on Hastings, you know. So like it just like keeps that cycle going of addiction, prison. Maybe they do it on purpose, I don't know, but that's where we have other areas that are like that too. Hastings is just the most you know, popular one that people like to go see because it's by the downtown scene, and all the nightclubs are down there. You've seen Snoop Dogg, Warren G, and all types of people talk about it, but you got it everywhere, right? Like it's not so in your face when it comes to the police. Like I know a lot of places don't have it where like it's right in front of the police station, right in front of the police. Hastings is unique in that way. But there's a lot of skid rows everywhere.
Yeah. You know, and I don't want to sidetrack too much because I want to stay on the history, but just hearing that right there and just from seeing it myself, do you think it's intentional? Do you think that the government is intentionally making it so shitty, bro? Because I'm like, there's no way that just people are just leaving this place like this. Not just like you mentioned, not just Hastings, but like, you know, I've heard that like if you have under a certain amount of grams, they won't arrest you anymore, and just wild shit like giving away syringes. Just it's like almost like designed to make sure that the drug problem stays in Vancouver.
It's like it's different interest groups. I wouldn't say the government in power right now, I think you can agree, is a bit loopy. But like I don't think it's by design in that way. The police for sure, and some of these other like halfway houses, like I mentioned. Sometimes it does seem like there's a bit of a methodology, you know, of keeping everybody in a certain area and all of that. But you also have like the left, far left, that I'm not on one side, you know, I'm more of a center person. But you have the far left that really pushes safe sites, people carrying a certain amount of drugs, because they come up with this research and they think, okay, we're having these many overdoses, we're having these many like you know, fentanyl overdoses and things. Let's give people better dope, and they won't overdose. And you know, so many people that are like getting sick and stuff like that, and putting a tax on the healthcare system. If they have safe injection sites, it won't be doing that. But we saw the complete opposite. Like, I think we were mimicking Seattle, maybe, or Portland, and it didn't work out. Like, they changed that now here. You can't carry the drugs and stuff, and you can't be certain areas doing drugs. So they're tightening up all that. It just failed. It was it looked good on paper. You know, the presentation was good, and it was supposed to do A, B, and C, but it didn't do anything like that. You just got a bunch of crazy people doing drugs everywhere, a lot more carjackings, a lot more robberies, a lot more injuries, a lot more accidents. And, you know, we always say, like, you know, the way to beat the drug problem is just make drugs legal. But, you know, that in itself creates a whole new problem. So, you know, I don't think there's any real solution to it. But having said that, I don't think people should be getting the sentences they get to for just putting something in their body, right? So it's a tough one. I can't figure it out. Definitely there needs to be some changes in policy, but we don't need to get free reign either.
Listen, man, it's going to be something that we're going to be talking about 20 years from now, bro.
Yeah.
Now with you out there in the Vancouver life growing up, you know, as a teenager, what was it like you having a twin brother? Because not everybody gets a twin, man.
Yeah, that's true. So when we were young, we didn't really think about it. But growing up, like, you definitely fight for a little bit of your own identity. And people have always just talked about us as like one person, Mike and Pete. You know, I've had people come up to me and ask me, like, you know, Mike and Pete, like, you know, we're never just like one person. And so yeah, it was cool too, you know, like, obviously you get a lot more attention, you're a twin, you know, and then there's like unwanted attention if one twin's done something and somebody sees you out in public. They don't often believe you have a twin brother. Yeah, but we didn't have too much fun with it. I think I read like some articles on us about being twins. There's one in Time magazine that says,
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, you saw that. Yeah, so
you're number 4 in weirdest twins criminal stories.
Yeah. So like, I think people have more fun with it than us. We just think of each other as like brothers now. We're very different in a lot of ways. We do have our own identities and our own interests, but we have some, you know, commonalities I think you would see with any brothers. But yeah, that's it. It was interesting. I think the media had a lot more fun with it than we did, and we have identical DNA, so we're not just like identical twins. We're monozygotic twins. So so that was interesting in court. I think the law states in North America you can't use the DNA of people that are monozygotic unless one's been dead for a considerable amount of time. So when we had some cases that definitely worked in our favor. I'm not saying I was guilty of anything, but getting cleared because you're a twin, you know, that was kind of.
I've never heard about that until right now, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, our DNA is identical. We were born in the same placenta, not like cloned off of each other, not like other twins.
Wow. Listen, man, we're learning some shit over here today, man. That's crazy. And you know, with the streets comes problems, obviously, and it's been very documented. One thing that I seen from my research, you said that you died 3 times when you got shot.
Well, I wouldn't say I died 3 times. I died like 3 different ways. So when I was shot, like, first thing, like, I noticed was I could breathe out, but I couldn't breathe in. So I knew I had limited oxygen. I had been shot in the lungs, and so I was suffocating. There's massive blood loss. I had always thought to myself, you know, because you just grow up, everyone gets shot, right? I've been shot at lots of times, and you hear of guys sometimes plugging their holes with their fingers. So I thought, you know, I get shot, I'll just plug my holes, right? But I remember looking down. I remember looking in the mirror. I had no face left because the first round was a machine gun that got me like 20 times, and I looked right into it because I thought, like, I was driving a bro's truck and parking in a different area than I normally park in. But I guess the guys that did homework on me knew I parked at different spots all the time. And so I turned around and I looked right into the bullets. And so they got me a few times in the head, a few times in the face, and then a bunch of times in the body. And when I was looking down, I thought, fuck, there's no plugging these holes. Like I'm bleeding out everywhere. And so I knew I was bleeding to death too. And then my medical report says like I had a, heart attack on the way too. And so I died 3 different ways like that. It could have been the head injuries too. There's a second shooter that came afterwards with a handgun on my right side. And he got off another 6 rounds. The first ones were like behind the ear, like hitman shots. You know what I mean? A couple of the face. And then I put my arm up and then caught a bunch in my like right arm. And my right arm is made out of like medical steel. And that's how they had to like reconstruct my forearm and stuff because I caught so many bullets in it. Yeah, so it was like that. And then, I was surprised I had the heart attack because like the first thing you tell yourself is like, don't panic, right? You panic, you're going to die. So I was actually pretty calm about the whole thing, but it was probably a lot of shock to the body.
Listen, man, all I can say is you're supposed to be here, Peter, because that's the craziest story I ever heard. And I'm talking to you. So you're supposed to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I definitely think so too. I'm always trying to figure out what that is, like the purpose. So any chance I get to like help somebody or like, I've dedicated my life to service now. That includes the bros, then so when I was asked to like step up and, talking on their behalf, no problem. But it goes across the board, somebody needs help with stem cells. Somebody needs help with something really mundane. Anybody that crosses my path, I try to think, like, is this the reason? And
big salute to Steamin' Hot Grabba with a variety of different grabba flavors and dispensers. They got red rose grabba, that red herring grabba, and peanut butter. Hit them up on their Instagram page, Steamin' Hot Grabba, and use the code WeLoveHipHop and receive a discount on your order. Again, you can find them on Instagram, Steamin' Hot Grabba. Now let's get back to the show. Cheer.
When it comes to private care in the States, if you got the money, you can get all these things. But they used my medical history and the benefits I had, like all the progress I was making with stem cells, to push for stem cells in Canada. And they did allow adipose stem cells, which means derived from your fat, for a little bit. And then the government decided to ban that also altogether. I've traveled the world for that stuff, like Panama. I don't know if you saw that thing on Mel Gibson talking about how he took his dad there. And
no, I didn't.
Oh yeah. There's a cool facility up there, and Dr. Rainier does some interesting stuff. Stem cells can cure things like cancer, even blindness, spinal cord injury, arthritis, diabetes. We've had a lot of friends bring people to us that have autism, and we'll go in through like either the neck into the brain or one of the main arteries in the thigh or something, and get into the brain. And we see kids that haven't talked in 3 years after 3 days sing and not have allergies to whatever they had allergies to. There's anti-aging aspects to it. I have a lot of friends that have, genetic predispositions because of the race they have. They start thinning and hair, or like other things happen, and we're able to get those guys and then reverse that, right? Like it's difficult if you have no hair follicles or anything, but we're usually able to get things going again. And guys just get stem cells sometimes just for the fuck of it, If you got the money, you just like prevent yourself from aging. You look good. It's like a prophylactics, kind of like you can prevent yourself from getting the injuries, right? We usually have a chat. We have a bunch of chats recorded on Clubhouse. And we have some recorded on Twitter, X as it's called now. And we get together and we'll put guys in there, like, NHL guys, NFL, like we've had like rappers and like, we've talked to so many different people from all walks of life and connected them with doctors. There's high profile athletes that we've had to be really careful when doing stem cells on them because of all the paparazzi around them. So we've had to dress up like hospital staff, like hotel staff, and then go in and do the thing. That's
crazy.
Yeah, you got to get it done, like if there's a will, there's a way. And for me, like I said, like any way I can help people, and maybe that's my thing, right? Maybe my story of stem cells is something that'll inspire somebody else to at least look into it. They don't need to go through us. I don't make any money on this stuff. If anything, I help guys get stem cells that can afford it. We've created metaverse projects and NFTs that went towards, giving people stem cells that couldn't afford it.
Yo, that's you're doing God's work right there, bro.
Trying,
you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And like you said, like, like I said earlier, with you're supposed to be here. This is the reason, man. Like you know what I mean? Your life is an example of how to turn your life around, how to, you could come from checkered past and then still be an intelligent individual and have conversations and inspire people. You know what I'm saying? So to me, like, there's a lot of reasons for you to be here, man.
I appreciate that. And definitely, like, anybody listening, don't get boxed into like a certain ideology. If somebody like me can do it, we come from below the poverty line and we've created like a small empire for ourselves. And I was able to educate myself even when I was in the hole, like 9 years in prison. It didn't hold me back. And I don't think I'm, the smartest man on the planet. If I can do it, anyone can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, sir. I want to just broaden the conversation into the music a little bit, because I know you're involved with, with the music, and you got Wolf House Records. You know what I'm saying? Big salute to Icarus. Big salute to Savage Banks. Can you, tell me a little bit more about the roster and what y'all got going on over there with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the vision of Damien and other bros. I'm definitely involved, and so is Icarus and Savage. Shout out to those guys. And Adam, the manager, and Damien's wife Azra does a lot with it too, and Jazz. And so it's a big team of people. It's a new label. It hasn't been around for too long, but we've been doing the music thing for years. Like I myself, like for the last 4 years, I kept a lot of people paid in the States, whether it was Grammy events, Utah Sundance Film Festival, New York Fashion Week, concerts, Super Bowl events. I've been involved in so many things for so many years that are, we have a lot of celebrity capital, and we chose not to work with them in the beginning, just to showcase some of the talent these guys have. Like, we worked with some of the young homies in town, like Mercules and different stuff, but Icarus has his own wave.
And this is why we have, platforms like this. I feel blessed to have a platform where sometimes even when we go left, we can bring it back to the right. You know what I'm saying? And have positive conversations in the end. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Like, I'm glad you got the platform too. Your platform is obviously a lot larger than ours. And that was some, real man shit that you did, like trying to clear things up. And, people, you obviously like can recognize how clickbaity some of those things were. And somebody would just be like, fuck all that. I just want this content. I just want these followers. But you showed a lot of integrity by wanting to address it. And just like, I just have to stress again, like, it's just the way it was presented, right? Like, even everybody saying, like, Icarus is saying the N-word, or I've never seen this man say the N-word. He's never said it. And at that Rick Ross, thing, it's just like almost comical to me, because the black guys sound like white guys, when they're saying the N-word. And if people can just watch that video over and over again and take a look at Icarus's mouth, zoom in, he does not say that. He's never talked like that. There was a mixed race brother there that was saying it. And like I said, there's a lot of people that feel a certain way about mixed people, but the word itself, yourself, is really polarizing even in your own community. People think it's okay to use, so other people don't think it's not okay to use. It depends if you're a street guy, like, how do you use it? Like, how does your family use it and things like that? So there's always going to be that debate. People don't want people using that. I'm talking about black people, right? They some of them don't want people using that word. Others don't see the problem with it, and then we disseminate it throughout music and culture, and then we say, no, you can't use that word. And for some people it can get a little tricky, but I can tell you, when it comes to Icarus, when it comes to us, we know the difference. That word's not thrown around like that.
And it definitely, a polarizing word, because even within the Black community, for me being a Caribbean man or coming from a Caribbean background, like old school Caribbean people don't like my mom didn't like me, like hearing me say that, or when she used to hear it in my music and stuff, she'd be like, boy, why you have to say them words? Like, she just didn't like to hear that. It made her hair stand up, or, you know what I mean? Her shoulders cringe, basically. So we don't like it neither. It's just over the years, man, like, I don't know, the word has just become bastardized and just all over the place. So it's totally conversations like this that really get to help people learn and bring everybody together in the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Straight up, like, there's definitely a bridge getting built here. And, you know, I look forward to you guys' future content, because I think you guys got a really good vibe. It just got a little off track here because of some personal feelings, you know, and maybe people not paying enough attention to the video. I've seen a lot of people comment, you know, so what, you know, white people just calling Black men the N-word up there. That doesn't happen. You know, I'm not saying there isn't racism. Of course, there's racism everywhere, right? But the way that it's been presented is inaccurate. You know, even I'm not sure if the man's name is Dusty, was saying Drake is wrong, you know, for hanging out with these people because of what happened in the past, right? Well, you know, there's friends of Drake's that one's colored out that way, that's in there, you know, and out here there's a bunch of colored people in there. And I think Drake's always been showing love back. It's not just he's this like cheerleader on the side and you know, he doesn't get any love back. People watch his back. I can tell you that our whole crews took care of him when he was here for the 3 days on one of his tours, and showed him a lot of love. And you know, his issues right now are with my bro because of some personal things, you know, but otherwise a lot of members are still talking to him. A lot of people are still trying to fix shit. It's maybe a break in communication somewhere where Drake didn't get the message properly, but I'm sure if he's listening, he knows exactly who to contact to, you know, squash all that shit and make things right. It's not that big. And as I mentioned earlier, it was for another colored person, and I don't want to say his name, but he's a, you know, popular artist too. And so the whole notion that these guys pushed him out because he's not Black enough is ridiculous. And that's a narrative being pushed on so many different platforms, and that has nothing to do with it. Drake knows himself what it's about, you know, and that fucking guy, like, I don't know who he is, but you know, he's not the president. The guy he has in the video, that guy's not even a member.
I think it's the Family Matters video.
Yeah, the Family Matters video. Yes. And, you know, I don't know if you all ever heard me on the academics video. I didn't have enough information neither to give a proper commentary.
Yeah, I've heard everybody say it. Like, you know, nobody knows, and nobody's going to come out and say, like, you know, who this person is or isn't unless they actually know, right? But that's just a neighbor. That's just a neighbor of his. And I'm not saying the guy is not a somebody, but he's definitely not who people are, you know, dressing him up to be. He's not that guy. He's not a member. He's not the president. It's just some guy.
Yeah, listen, man, this, like I said, this is an important conversation that we're having right here, because, you know, a lot of people watch not just us, but just the social media and the media period. And they get so much stories that they make up themselves. Then they make YouTube videos, and you see it when you go on YouTube. There's a gazillion videos of people with theories, but they never have the real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this conversation should shed some light on that kind of stuff. But I get the impulse to get information out quickly too. I understand how the machine works when it comes to social media. Obviously, like I don't subscribe to that type of behavior. You can tell from my channels. I don't post often. I'm not trying to get subscribers. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? If you're going into the space, there's an urgency to get out information quickly, and sometimes people know it's not accurate, so they're putting pieces together, hoping at some point, like I see Ak do that a lot. No disrespect to him, I've been watching his channel since it became a channel, but a lot of times he'll just put it up and then try to get the story afterwards from somebody, and it's not just him. a lot of places, right? Like it's natural. It's a human thing to do when you're in that space. But hopefully, after this conversation, you know, we don't have to hear about that kind of stuff anymore.
Facts. Last couple of things I want to ask you here, because you know, with Drake being mentioned, one of the things that came out of this whole Kendrick Lamar Drake beef was the OVO EXO thing. What are your thoughts on that, man? Like, there was a lot of like news stories and all kind of weird shit that was going on with it, man. And I had my little theories here and there, but what are your thoughts on it, man?
So shout out to my Palestinian bros that are tight with EXO and you know, the whole team, whether it's A.W.O.L or Cash. Those are our best friends and really good dudes. And Drake knows what his issue is with the man. You know what I mean? It's not a small issue, but it's not a big issue. It's nothing that can't be fixed. And he knows who to talk to do that. And like I said, there might be a break in communication somewhere, but you know, he knows exactly who to talk to fix that situation. I don't think that I can really elaborate on it much more, you know, like if I'm talking generally as just someone viewing the situation. It's sad these guys started off as friends. You know, Drake definitely helped him. I heard a lot about Drake perhaps maybe taking advantage of his talents and all of that, but you know, to me that's all small stuff, right? Maybe it's because I've died and I have a different perspective on life, but a lot of my friends that are friends with both sides too don't see it as that big of a situation. There's a lot of politics involved sometimes, but there's a lot of common ground they have too. The same people that support Drake in a lot of ways support A.W.O.L, and you know, if he wants to fix it, that's not a big deal.
Hey, listen, man, we'll leave that there.
Yeah.
In closing here, right, as somebody who's gone through so many different things in life, you know, you mentioned being away for 9 years, which is a stretch, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, as well as being around other people who've been gone for 20 years and longer. And what can you say to the youth out there so that they don't either end up in jail, or the kids who have been in jail so they don't recidivize?
So, like, when it comes to recidivism, like, you know, like recidivism, I should say, the system is broken, right? Like I just mentioned, people getting released into areas where there's like drug issues and they already have drug issues. The education's not totally there. You can't make things like that mandatory. Unfortunately, if you could, then, you know, we'd be getting people that come out with a lot more, you know, at their resources, right? When you look at other countries, they have certain programs, prisons set up in a way where there's no recidivism. And there's a really, really small chance of somebody committing the same offense again, let alone any offense. I don't know if you've seen that documentary where they show all the different prisons and they show Denmark or one of those European prisons where, you know, you got your own shower, you got your own phone, you know, you got your, you know, education, whatever you want to do in there. And people are treated with humanity because everybody knows these are going to be your neighbors when they get out. Whereas the Canadian system is a bit different, right? It's more punitive, and they don't really set you up to succeed. It's worse in the States, definitely. But people just aren't set up to win when they get out of prison. And for people thinking about getting into this stuff, like I've said it in my other podcast too, like I'm not anti-gang, you know, like I am anti like a lot of fuck shit, you know, but like when it comes to certain communities, especially in the States, I get it, you know, it's generational, and sometimes the bigger homies serve as good role models, and banging isn't such a bad thing, right? In Canada, it's a little bit different. But again, you know, you get with the right group, it's not bad. But when you start having a broken cost benefit system, you know, when you can't like balance out, like if something is worth it, then that's where the problems come in, right? A lot of people are impulsive. So any young guys, you know, just do a little bit of research. There's a lot better ways to make money, whether it's crypto. I mean, I made most of my money out of the streets, right? that street money, it comes, goes, and it's just I just think there's a lot better ways to make money. Get into music, get into sports. Like there's nothing geeky about that shit. Lame is being stuck in prison forever. Like it just sucks. Like I have friends doing life, and I talk to them every day. Like and then a lot of good bros locked up right now that shouldn't be locked up because they're stuck in a certain rhythm when it comes to the streets. But if you're gonna do it, just know what you're getting into. Know that there's gonna be a cost with these kind of things, and the benefit ratio might not work out. Do the proper math, and if you're too dumb to do the math, learn how to do math first before you start getting into crime. We don't live in the same time we lived in. When we grew up, there weren't a lot of resources. There was definitely not the internet. And so crime isn't something we thought was cool. We did it because we had to do it. And we grew out of it at some point. But the young mind today doesn't do it because it's a necessity. They feel like it is, but it's not. Be real with yourself. And when you are emotionally mature enough, you're going to realize that, some of the things you were doing weren't, definitely ever going to turn out to be something that you could be proud of. But your hustle is your hustle. Do what you got to do. Just try to be smart about it.
No, well said, sir. And I had to write down for the title of this episode. I'm going to call it Broken Cost Benefit System. That right there, bars.
Okay. Yeah. No, anything I do in life, there's a cost benefit ratio, right? And if your system is broken, you're always going to make the wrong decision.
Ah, man, that's real jewelry coming right here from the man himself, Peter A.D.I.W.A.L in the building. What do you got coming up in the near future that you could let the audience know, man? Plug the podcast. Pete's podcast is out there. It's on listening platforms. It's on YouTube. Talk to us, man.
All right. Well, I got Pete's podcast. It's been out for a few years just as a hobby. I'm definitely going to start taking it a lot more seriously because I want to give my bros a good platform where they can feel safe and get their stories out. And there's also a lot of push for it in my DMs. But keep an eye out for stuff on Wolf House Records. If you guys aren't following any of these channels already, you should. They're just starting to pick up. Icarus has got so much stuff in the vault, and Savage as well. And we got some new artists we're going to be bringing out too. We're just polishing up some of the contracts and getting them on board. Look out for the movies. Look out for the documentaries. We'll keep posting on the socials. I'm horrible at that kind of stuff, but I got a team kind of working on it now. So the Freeway podcast obviously is coming up, but
yes,
I don't want to give it away just yet, but I got some more interesting guests too. And we got some companies, we got a ride sharing company called Rides.Rent. It's international. It's just got approved some of its licenses and insurance in different provinces. Check us out on X for the Stemcell stuff. We got some boxers. I feel like everybody's signing boxers lately. But if you're a boxer and you're a kickboxer and you want to get put on, reach out. We've been looking for talent across the globe. We just signed some people from Croatia, Toronto, and Mexico. So it doesn't matter where you are. Reach out, and even if it's music you guys want to do. If you're into film, we own a couple film studios, so we can, fly people out, or we can fly out the equipment and get some content going for whatever it is, music videos and things like that. So keeping busy in the industry in the States too. I'll be doing a lot more concerts in the near future. So just follow the socials. You'll see everything.
Yeah, man. Dope. Also, as far as the socials for Wolf House, I see Wolf House, the label. All right. So make sure to follow that up. Plug your social media also, just so people know where to find you, Pete.
All right. You can find me at Peter A.D.I.W.A.L on Instagram, Peter A.D.I.W.A.L on X, Facebook. And then there's there's obviously Pete's podcast, and also follow Icarus. Follow Basement Studios. They're producers. That's BASSMENT, not the traditional way. And Free Damien. A lot of people check out his stuff, but not a lot of people follow, I think, because they just get freaked out. But Dame's super cool. He's hella funny. There'll be a lot of like memes they've been working on. Obviously, we're going to be going at, William Leonard Roberts II, because he was given some time to apologize. He didn't apologize in that amount of time. We have links to people around him, so I'm sure he got the message. And we have a lot more content coming out on his backstory too, as well as some other gems that I can't give away, but you'll see in the next couple of days.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. Listen, man, I would love to be on your podcast. I only did a baby bid, so I don't know if my story is compelling enough, but I would love to have an opportunity once you start rolling out your content on your channel for, to be a guest on on Pete's podcast.
I think that would be great. And it's not just so much that about your baby bid, but just to talk about these issues that people are so outraged about right now would be beneficial too. Not for just my listeners, but like people that are going to come in the future and check out the channel.
Yeah.
To see some of the issues you guys are facing out there, and to see how like we've overcome some of them out here. And so we can keep the dialogue going for sure, like on my channel and wherever possible, just so people know that this isn't like how it's been presented. Like most of the coverage has been about these guys dropping the N-word, which they didn't. The black guys did, and the half black guy did, and people can feel however they want about that. But Icarus has been kind of tarnished in that way. And not only is he one of our artists, he's one of my best friends. And so I wanted to make that clear, and I think I've done that.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, and Damien's one of my best friends too. He was very eager to like address this too.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation right here. For the people out there who are watching this, make sure, share this around so that everybody can get this conversation and everybody can get a clear picture of just, the way that things go on over here, whether it's Toronto or over in the West Coast. All right.
Yeah. Everybody build bridges. Don't build walls. It's not that difficult. We did it, and we faced the same problems everybody else did when it comes to racism.
Well, there we have it. Peter A.D.I.WAL in the building. We are off of this.
Thanks, Friday.
We love hip hop.